Aaron Rodgers. Stuck. Terry Bradshaw's ripping him. Terry Bradshaw's naming all the guys. Did you hear that? Terry's naming all the guys that they had to try to replace him. He's like, you know why I didn't care? Because I knew when we got on the practice field, I was better than all those guys. But Aaron's stuck. And Kyle Shanahan told Eisen, yes, I called LaFleur, and it was a very quick phone call. LaFleur said, don't bother to have John Lynch call. We're not trading Aaron. And this was my take at the time, and I only feel more strongly about it in every day since. Aaron should have blown this thing up 2 months ago because he gave the Niners no time to trade for him. Gave him no time. Like, remember what happened with Tom Brady? The Niners spent a few days diving into Tom Brady, and then they decided, whatever, we're not doing Tom Brady. Oops. But they gave the Niners no time to try and get.
The Niners wouldn't have won the Super Bowl with Tom. Tom made the right decision. Tom got lucky, or he was forced into the right decision. However you want to look at it, it worked out. I'm
just saying the Niners had time to evaluate the situation. This thing, they had no time, and the Packers didn't have it. Like, it's more about the Packers didn't have any time either.
I've come to grips, and this is not an original take. I heard a bunch of people saying this the last couple days. I was adamant, I guess, where I stood on this, supported Aaron because of the Jordan Love situation you never shake. But like Terry's a good example. And any quarterback, I remember Steve Young talked about the guys they brought in. Aaron knows that this guy can't hold his jock. So even once they fuck up, Aaron knows I'm back in control. I'm the captain now because that guy stinks. I'm elite. I have all the power back. I think this, and you saw the Kentucky Derby picture, his fiance, wife, girlfriend, I don't even know what they're considered, but she actually was an animal activist. I saw that then when the picture of the Kentucky Derby went viral, all the animal activists got pissed off. She's been arrested before for like one of those PETA marches type things.
Tying herself to a
doing one
meat
of those
hook or something.
Yeah, to not let the cows, get slaughtered or whatever. And I do just wonder if Aaron's fiance, if it's influencing him. And ultimately, if it's as simple as, you see this a lot in the NBA. I guess it's less about what city they live in because they're not there as much. Where in the NFL, you are in the city. Like even your 8 away games now, I guess for the NFC, it's 9. Your 9 away games, you're just there less than 24 hours. Yeah. It's like overnight trip. So you are spending 6 months, and for Aaron, where they consistently go to the playoffs, basically June till probably late January there, right? Mid-June, or I guess
you live at home
mid-July.
When you're an NFL player.
Yeah. And I can imagine when you look at his 3 teams, he's a West Coast guy. 3 teams were the Niners, the Raiders, and the Broncos. None of them were like other teams. He could have easily thrown out Miami, the Jets, because it's not like winning was a check mark on this list, right? Because the other 2 teams the Raiders have made the playoffs once in 18 years. The Broncos have been terrible for now about 4. Elway, I read Mike Silver's article, was like, it was weird just sitting in the draft room. I just gave it up. Was he forced to? It's one of those like, I quit, but I moved up. Who knows? But part of it was that they weren't winning.
If they were rolling, he'd still be he'd be calling
1,000%. So is it about, does he just want to be back west? And here's what you can't, and I don't blame him for thinking that. He's been there for 15 years, maybe just over it. He's tired of looking at Gutekunst. I get it all. What he cannot say is, I'm tired of fucking living here. Because what does he want to be for the rest of his life till he's buried? A Green Bay Packer legend. So you can't, it's easy to use Gutekunst instead of crushing the area and kind of what the Packers title town, what it stands for. If he just came out, I think a lot of people, I'd respect him if he's like, I just don't want to live here anymore. But he 100% cannot say that.
I do think he doesn't like the front office.
Yeah, I would imagine he does not like the GM for doing that, but I don't think this entire move, the more I've let it marinate in my brain, is strictly over Gutekunst drafting Jordan Love.
I 1,000% agree with that, but I also think it goes back to
once Jordan Love was proved that he's not that good.
But I bet it goes back further, John. My guess is, remember, did he want them to fire McCarthy 4 years before they moved on from Mike McCarthy? Were there arguments?
But Gutekunst wasn't the general manager then.
Well, I understand, but I'm just saying, like, who was it? Silver that wrote he has beef with. Like, it's the whole front office. It's not just Gutekunst. Like, he's got problems with everybody. Was he mad that when it came time to hire Matt LaFleur?
Yeah.
Matt LaFleur? That it wasn't, Aaron didn't get to call the shots, right? Like I'm with you. I agree. It's more than Jordan Love. I agree
Okay,
with that.
but my thing would be, which is fair, they've had a pretty successful relationship over 2 years. I mean, he's had, if we
No
just look
doubt.
back at the stats / the wins, it's got to be one of the greatest 2 year stretches of his career.
I mean, part
right?
of why they were good, they signed the Smith brothers, right? Who did that?
Gutekunst. They re-signed Aaron Jones, who he was kind of pounding the table for, who's good. Like, I'm just saying, we do the way Aaron kind of came out attacking the front office. One thing fans and definitely people in our shoes will do much probably different than maybe 20, 30 years ago. We'll evaluate the situation and immediately pick a side. And we're not like always picking the team side. The Texans get shit on 24/7, 365. If people are like, God, I don't even blame them. The Packers joke. It's like, bro, you won 26 games. You hosted the NFC Championship game. You arguably had the best year of your career.
Yeah.
Individually and team-wise. I mean, it's beside the year you won the Super Bowl, probably your best chance because the only time you've ever hosted the game. So it's like, I think people go, is it, you just want out, Aaron? Because this gets back to, you just want to live out west, which again, I've understood. I've been there, making way less money and farther away to the east. Like, I get wanting to come home, but at least just, his problem is he can't be honest about that because he would get crushed by the Packer people, which he wants to love them because they do.
I agree, but I do think there was a real animosity with him and the organization.
Do you think Yoko Ono's playing a role here? Because that's what the internet thinks.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Aaron was legitimately pissed all last year. Now, I don't know when he started dating her, but I think Aaron was legitimately pissed last year. And I think Aaron holds grudges for a really long time.
I think most people kind of do, right?
Yeah, but
on different levels. It's hard for humans to forget. Some people, if you're good enough at what you do or good looking enough to upgrade in a relationship, it's easy to get back. And he's one of the rare 1%ers, right? Who's good enough to usually win his grudges. At least now, maybe when he hits 41, it's not quite as good. It won't be as easy. People are like, oh, this guy's just a dick. Remember toward the end of Favre, it was like, God, Brett, hang him up, buddy. There's a balance. Right now, he's still in control because he's elite. That's the key.
Yeah, and then Favre unretired, and that was a situation that Aaron had to deal with too.
But
Aaron
I even mean like the second Minnesota season. It's like, this is kind of ugly. This guy's kind of getting
remember
weird.
the Jets season was ugly. Before
it was
he
weird.
went to Minnesota and was good. The Jets season, I remember seeing him. He played at the Niners. I was like, this guy does not have it anymore.
But guys can get. I just think guys can get weird fast for whatever reason. We call Antonio Brown a weirdo because of the way it happened in Pittsburgh. But like, really, just because he went truly public with a sit down with Jeff Darlington, Aaron refused to do that because he's better at PR. But what's the difference? It's like you're winning, you're crushing it.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron as a quarterback is just more directly impacts like he has a better time saying we're winning because of me, right?
And he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. But to the original point, the Niners called because of course you call it, Aaron. Like, if the Niners were told Thursday morning you can trade the third overall pick for Aaron Rodgers, they would have done it in a heartbeat, right?
Can they still do it?
I think it's harder once you get the guy in the building. It's harder once you think, like, how much do we love this guy? But yes, they can. The short answer is yes, you can still do it. I think do you agree that it's harder once you get Trey Lance in the building? You're like, okay, now this is the direction we're going?
My gut says you can't do it now, but I don't know why I would say that.
That's also my gut. But I just think about it like, you just go, wait, we're going to just acquire Aaron Rodgers tomorrow?
If he was 34, I wouldn't hesitate. I mean, he's going to be 38. Like, you're getting up there.
Part of it, too, is like, what's the truth about Trey Lance? We would find out a little bit the truth about Trey Lance. Like, have they loved Trey Lance for 3 months? They can't wait to get him. They're absolutely sure that Trey Lance is a star in the make, just waiting to be hatched, right?
Yeah.
What do you really think? We'd find out what you really think. Because if that's what you really think, if you think you got Josh Allen in 2 years, then you don't do that deal.
Well, because I know if I'm the Packers.
Well, if you were the Jags, would you do the deal? Trevor Lawrence for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, part of the element here is Aaron would be like, I'm not playing in Jacksonville.
No, I understand. I'm just saying if you're in the position where you had the guy that you think is a surefire, top-tier quarterback.
I would not. I would take Trevor Lawrence.
So if you think Trey Lance is going to be that if you're them, then I don't think you do that deal.
Well, because also the problem is like Trey Lance for Aaron Rodgers doesn't get it done. But to me, if I'm Gutekunst, be like, I want Trey Lance, I want Nick Bosa, and I want George Kittle. That's my counter offer.
Right.
Because I know you have no picks, so I don't want
But
third round picks mean nothing to me.
But I would say this too. Ultimately, if you're the Packers and you think Trey Lance is the next Josh Allen, then you do that deal. Like, you're like, okay, this guy doesn't want to be here. We're ready to move on from him anyway. We think that guy's a star.
Do what deal?
Trey Lance for Aaron Rodgers.
You would never do that straight up, though.
No, but I'm saying if you are convinced that guy is Josh Allen, if you are convinced that if they thought right now the guy they drafted last year was ready to be a star, then yeah, go get your 4-1s for Aaron Rodgers and move on with your life.
Yeah. I think the problem, though, is with the draft, no matter how much you love a guy, and this would probably include Trevor Lawrence, you never truly know. I mean,
That's right.
Aaron Rodgers is, I think when the dust settles, how's he not going to be considered a top 5 quarterback of all time, right? Because Marino isn't. He never even won a Super Bowl. It feels like Aaron's accomplished more, right? I know it's not apples to apples. The league was different back then, but like, is Aaron Rodgers going to be considered better than Dan Marino?
Well, I think we already talked about him. People say things like he's the most talented quarterback to ever play, which is just a way to say, I wish he had another Super Bowl.
Yeah. Don't you think Marino's kind of talked about like that too?
Yeah,
and
but he didn't win one.
Elway's the version of most talented who actually won two, right?
I think Rodgers ahead of Marino. Just if we did 100 people made their list.
So if I told you had Marino after an MVP in what looks like the peak of his powers, yeah, I ain't trading him for a rookie, right? I think you got to use like other people and preview to talk about it.
I think you only do it when you're ready to. You only do it when it is kind of you're ready to do it, right? They thought they were about to be ready to do it, and then Aaron won the MVP. You can't be ready to do it when the guy's winning MVPs. Yeah, well, or when the guy you drafted is not good enough to replace him.
I would imagine, and I can't speak. I mean, you and I have both kind of lived just the sporting industry more than any other business, but there can't be a more consistently fluid, day-to-day changing any major, huge business than sports. I mean, things change so fast, right? Injuries, improvement, guys getting slow. I mean, just you can ebb and flow year to year, dramatic. Like it's not crazy to have plans. I mean, a year ago, the Niners were like, Tom Brady, no, Tom Brady, kick rocks. A year later, 3 first-rounders for, we kind of like Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Justin Fields. We'll see a month. I mean, things change. I'm not even just day-to-day, but like 6 months. Think how fast things change in 6 months in pro sports.
Well, it was a foregone conclusion that one of the biggest story in the NFL was going to be, is Deshaun Watson holding out? Has Deshaun Watson been traded to the Niners, to the Dolphins? Are they going to flip to it? And now it's like, is Davis Mills going to beat out Tyrod Taylor? Like, what is it going to look like?
I mean, we're like a month away from is Deshaun Watson ever playing in the NFL again? My column on The Athletic.
Well, I know this. Like, that thing's going to play itself out, and I just know what we thought the Deshaun story was going to be. It's the opposite end of the spectrum.
Well, you know what's clearly stopped there is Deshaun stopped pounding the table for a trade because that ain't happening right now, right?
No one could. Yeah. It went from, is he going to hold out, to like, will they let him play? It's like.
I'm not even you're bringing in an element of like off the field, which we're dealing with humans, which is key. I'm just talking about play, right? Yeah. Improving, trending up, trending down, getting old. That's the one thing, like in most businesses, if you're just good at it, like you're going to get better in time. In sports, you're like, when can we short this guy? Because I hate to say it, that's kind of the general manager's job, is just to know when we got to pivot, no matter how, whether it's Montana, Rodgers, or like our backup guard. Like, can we upgrade? You're always trying to do that. It's not, I know these guys get shit on social media like it's an easy job. It is difficult because you're around them a lot. You're trying to be objective, but you're also subjective because you're like living in it. Like, I don't think Gutekunst was in an easy spot. Now, them leaking that they would have taken the 2 wide receivers, like, bro, just trade up and get one if you really want.
Or don't even tell me about it. I don't care.
Well, they're doing it on purpose, don't you think? To let him know
it doesn't accomplish anything to me.
I know. You didn't
They're trying to say, which I think we knew at the time, they didn't go into that first round going, how do we get Jordan Love? But as we've heard, they probably had 18 first-round grades on guys. They couldn't trade back. They're like, well, we like this guy. I mean, yeah, why not? Value, boom.
Well, I will say this for Jordan Love, where I don't believe Mac Jones fell. I think still he was overdrafted, or at minimum went where he was supposed to go. I do think Jordan Love was like a top 25 physical talent. like guys like him go in
Yeah.
the top 20.
Yeah.
And they did so. This guy just plummeted to us. Once upon a time, it happened, I don't know, with this guy causing all this drama. So
It really is
we
pretty
did
crazy.
It is. It's kind of history repeating itself because he was always adamant. He was always kind of outspoken. I wasn't going to do that. I'm not going to act like that. But that's where it's like, is it truly about Jordan Love or is there more to it?
I think there's
That's
more.
where, yeah.
I think it's all the stuff. I think it's wanting to be somewhere else. I think it's a history of not liking. I don't know.
I would say coming out with a report, if he's behind it, that he wants the general manager fired is very Favre-ian. What Favre would have done back then.
Did Favre do that?
No, I think his was more.
I mean, saying want the GM fired when it's been a pretty solid organization is pretty crazy.
Who's been good at his job?
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
The only thing he hasn't done well, apparently, is mend whatever issues there are with Aaron, or have a good relationship with Aaron.
But this is where I do think we can speak on a much, much lower level. Sometimes Aaron may be like, I don't want to mend it. And that's just his truth. He hates him.
Yeah.
I don't want to mend the situation.
Well,
I
yeah,
have
but
no
it's like, how did it
desire.
get here? That goes back to, so is it just about, because if it's just about Jordan and you want to mend it, okay. That's why I think I agree with you. That's why I know that I agree with you. I think it's about more than just Jordan Love. Maybe Jordan Love tipped the scales, but I think it's about whatever happened for years with McCarthy. I think it's about hiring the new head coach, LaFleur. I think it's about all this stuff and probably a million things we don't know about.
I just wonder if you're a human being and you're a high-level guy and you're anti a decision at the time, right? LaFleur. But then it goes well and you like him. To me, you are pretty petty if you hold on to that. Like,
yes.
just move on, you know?
Yes.
Put your ego to the side and move on.